Today we're driving the 2025 Toyota Sienna. This is an XSE front-wheel drive. It has a 2.5 liter hybrid powertrain that makes 245 net combined horsepower. It's rated for 36 miles to the gallon combined. We recently did a studio walk around of one of these and some other trims back in Detroit, but today we are in Charlotte, North Carolina with Bradley Brownell.
Hey.
Yeah, we used to rally cross together. I shot your wedding
You
back
did
in the
shoot my
day.
wedding, yeah.
Now you're writing for Jalopnik.
Believe it or not, that wedding was 10 years ago.
Oh man, happy anniversary. That's pretty awesome. I drove my 850R to your wedding, my first
Yes.
850R.
Yes,
I was
you did.
super geeked about that road trip. That was
Yeah.
that was just a wonderful day. Let's quickly walk you guys around this here, just parked, and then we'll go for a drive. We're heading out to lunch. The big news here with the new Sienna are some updates to the interior. We've got slightly different materials, trimmings, and then there's this millimeter wave radar detection system for your children or family in the back. If you forget them, it'll start beeping and letting you know that, hey, there are people in the back, and it can sense babies under blankets and stuff. It's pretty high tech. It's a much better system than what was previously in the Sienna. I'm also just fresh out of a Honda Odyssey, so you know, minivan life is kind of speaking to me right now because, again, I'm a family man, a father of two these days. So something like this is actually a pretty practical proposition over an SUV. We also rock a Toyota Highlander as our family car, and for pretty much the same money, the same MPG, you could have a Toyota Sienna, which is probably a much better option for a family, just because of the space in this thing. It's enormous. Let's take a look in the back here. Really nice deep storage space down here, as we've seen in a lot of minivans. No changes here. Lots of numbers here to tell you, you know, which to pull and which to press to fold these seats down. We're not going to do that though because we have some luggage in the back. Today's video is mostly about driving. Of course, the XSE is the sporty version of the Toyota Sienna. Not automatic doors, just the wind. We have Michelin Primacy all-season tires and 235/50 R20. Pricing on this is just shy of $50,000. This is $49,455. All right, all that stuff out of the way. Do we know where we're going?
Yes.
Okay.
I have it plugged into my phone.
Sweet. Cool. We're in business.
Cool.
All right. Off we go. We'll make
There
that
you
full
have it.
screen and see if we can find our way out of here. Since we are in the infield. Probably this way?
I believe so.
Yeah. However, it would be an exclusive take if we took it around the Roval.
I asked if I could take it for a lap, and they laughed and said no.
Well, that's fun.
Rev and Ham having a personal track day or something?
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
It's always shocking to see how big those are in real
Yeah.
life. You see them on TV and you think they're just tiny little things. They're not. They're huge. All right, so we'll get some low-speed drivability driving impressions here. I mean, this feels very much like the previous pre-refresh Sienna.
Yeah, for sure.
Drives just about like every Toyota hybrid. It's very fuel efficient, very comfy. Got some different gauges here. The Sienna is only available as a hybrid, which is probably the best way to go.
I have a lot of experience in the Odyssey. I used to cross-country one a lot. And the fuel economy is good, but not near as good as this hybrid.
Yeah. Yeah, the road trip ability of an Odyssey is just
Impressive.
Oh,
yeah,
man, that's
impressive.
great. I drove across country in one with 300,000 miles.
Nice.
It was amazing.
Nice. We had one as the Radwood merchandise van
Oh, yeah, sure.
for 2 years, and
Cool.
I probably put 20,000 miles on it in those 2 years.
It's so easy to just rack them on.
Yeah.
You spent a little bit of time in the Sienna.
I have, yeah. I actually rented one at the airport in Atlanta a few years ago. The prior to the refresh, obviously. And I paid for a full tank of gas, thinking it'll be easier. I've got a quick connection. Like, I don't have time to get up in the morning and get gas or whatever. So I paid for the full tank of gas at the rental counter, and didn't even use a quarter of a tank in like
Sounds about right.
200 miles. So yeah, it's really good on gas.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is we have about 3/4 of a tank right now, and range is telling me 300 miles left.
Wow.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, they must make out like bandits with the hybrids.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
rental fleet. Actually,
I was hauling 5 people and all our gear. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna need, all the gas in the world. But no.
Yeah, that is really, I think, the big selling point here with the Sienna is just the fuel economy, the fact that it does come with all-wheel drive, even though this is a front-wheel drive Sienna. If you live in the snow belt, all-wheel drive would be nice to have. And you can get the Woodland with, I think it has another inch of ground clearance and some slightly sturdier tires. I mean, I think what manufacturers need to do is just make lifted Safari SUV versions of their minivans, and they would sell like hotcakes because they literally do everything else so well. And with hybridization, you can make an all-wheel drive vehicle pretty easily these days. We want 8 inches of ground clearance, some Falcon Wild Peak AT trail tires, and a decent all-wheel drive system that'll get you up the trail. I've always had the most respect for like the Overlander minivan dad.
We have Mickey Thompson's on our Cayenne for off-roading.
That's
beadlock braids.
That's a great alternative, actually. Yeah, the Cayenne would be a great Overlander.
I love that thing. It's more my wife's car, but it's a good car.
I've never driven an Overland-built Cayenne. I bet that's pretty fun. Does it still handle pretty well on the street?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, 4 inches of sidewall is going to reduce your road holding a little bit.
Is the air suspension?
No, it is steel springs.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not rock crawling, like, it can do it, but you need to do some pretty heavy modifications to rock crawl a Cayenne. But if you're just overlanding, getting through, some more open stuff and picking your lines well, they're so capable. It's amazing what they do off-road.
It's a diesel, so it gets about the same fuel economy as this, about 36, right.
I had a Cayenne diesel press car once, and it was $50,000, and then it had $49,000 worth of options on it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's $99,000 Cayenne diesel.
Wow. Yeah, I think ours was 75 new or something like that.
Yep.
We got it for 20.
Depreciation is a wonderful thing.
It sure is.
Toyota Siennas don't seem to depreciate as much.
They sure
seem to hold their value pretty well. And that is one nice thing about this. There's a pretty linear depreciation curve with the Honda Odyssey. This, it kind of holds its value a bit better.
I think for a while, especially with the chip shortage, they were difficult to come by.
Sure, yeah, same with the Highlander and a lot of other hybrids.
Sure. So I think they were pretty rock solid for a while, where it was like, yeah, if you want one at the dealer, it's going to take 8 months, and you don't get to pick what you want. It's just going to show up, and that's what you get.
And there might be some markup.
Yeah.
It drives well, though. I mean, I've spent limited time in the Sienna. I had one for a week when it first came out, this new generation with the hybrid, and it drove great. It's definitely not as sporty and as much of a muscle minivan as the Honda Odyssey, and maybe it doesn't have as great tech as the Kia Carnival, which coincidentally is right in front of us. Kia Carnival has a V6 though, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it's a naturally aspirated V6, which is great. But honestly, the power here is ample. It's fine. It gets it up and goes just fine. This 2.5 liter, 245 horsepower. I mean, the electric motor gives you a little bit of assist. It helps out.
Yeah, it's an additional 90 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think, I think it was maybe Bob Lutz that said that Americans buy horsepower and drive torque.
That's right.
Like, what they say they want is horsepower, but what they really want is torque.
That's a perfect way to put it. Yeah. 2025 is definitely the year for the mid-cycle refresh, and this hasn't really been refreshed as much as some of the competitors. The Kia Carnival gets pretty much a whole new look for its design. It's a little bit more aggressive, more SUV-like. They're really trying to push that as an SUV, even though it's a minivan. The Honda Odyssey sees some mild changes, a few things here and there, infotainment, a couple other things. The millimeter wave radar is the big selling point here with this new Sienna. But, why mess with a formula that works? You've got a great interior, nice ergonomics, lots of physical controls, the updated screen here from what we've seen in a lot of new Toyota products. This infotainment works well. It's easy to pair our phones with Bluetooth, CarPlay, Android Auto, all that stuff.
It's a nice screen.
It is,
I mean,
yeah.
It's clear and crisp.
Doesn't take your eyes off the road too much.
Sure.
I have noticed this powertrain combo can be a little bit droney sometimes, merging onto the highway, but it's better than our Highlander. And there is a little bit more road noise than the Honda Odyssey, which I was just in last week, so it's fresh. The Odyssey, I think, is maybe the quietest Honda next to like the Pilot or something. It's really pretty silent on the highway.
This does have a bit of wind noise.
Yeah,
it's kind of boomy and
it's a bit louder than I was expecting. Sunroof doesn't really change that. Maybe some of the higher trims have more sound insulation. This XSE might have a little bit less. I don't know. You get into the platinum grades, pay a little bit extra, you get insulated glass or something. I don't know. I noticed that in the new Camry. The Camry was a little bit louder than I expected it to be. Especially the X trims have more sound insulation. The XLE and the XSE are better, but they're more expensive. And the SE is pretty loud.
I feel like I'm sitting up about a foot taller than you are.
You're pretty high. You slammed down all the way.
The seat doesn't go down any further.
Okay. How tall are you?
6'2".
All right. Yeah, you're not like excessively tall.
I mean, I could theoretically wear a helmet in here and be okay.
Yeah.
But I found as a tall man that I'd be fine in the driver's seat, but in headroom in pretty much every Toyota that I've driven in the last 5 years has been a little tight.
It's interesting how the passenger seat is so much higher. It's the same deal with our Highlander too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I rode in the Crown on the way home from the airport, or way to the hotel from the airport, and I had a hard time with the headroom in that.
Yeah, the Crown is tricky because there's that battery pack. And
sure.
It's just kind of this tall sedan type thing.
And then we were in Corollas and GR86s all day.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
They were a little tight.
Yep.
I could fit with a helmet on, but it was like just barely. So if you're 6'3", 6'4", you might run into issues.
That's an interesting note. Yeah, it's kind of weird to say that the space in a minivan would be tight, but definitely sit in your Toyota Sienna to see if you fit.
Yeah. If you're the tall guy, you're going to be the one driving.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, the seat is noticeably lower than your seating position.
Yeah. And my shoulder is a good 8 inches above your shoulder.
Yep. I'm 5'10".
Okay.
So.
Yeah, not an 8-inch difference.
No,
for sure.
Definitely not. One of my favorite things about Toyota hybrids is just their low-speed drivability. They're so smooth. You kind of almost get that EV waftability off the line from a stop. I don't even know what drive mode we're in right now. We've got Eco, Normal, Sport. So we've been in Normal this whole time. We're in EV mode right now, just kind of cruising, steady state throttle. The transition from EV to internal combustion engine is seamless. A little bit of noise from this 2.5 liter, but not too bad. Brake pedal feels normal. I mean, this drives everything. All Toyota hybrids are just big Priuses, and they all kind of drive like that.
Toyota more than any other brand has had 25 years to figure out hybrid technology,
Yeah,
so
they've got it dialed in.
They should know what they're doing by now.
Yeah. I will say in the Odyssey, I really like the ability to move the seat on sliders like this in the second row. That was awesome because you could just hop in the third row if you've got like passengers or friends or people that want to get back there really quickly. And we don't have stow and go like you do in the Pacifica, but they have the market on that.
Sure.
And the all-wheel drive Pacifica doesn't have stow and go, which is a big selling point for the front-wheel drive.
I imagine the hybrid doesn't either.
Probably not. Yeah.
I haven't driven the standard Pacifica, but I've driven the plug-in hybrid, and it does a great job.
Sure.
And it gets incredible fuel mileage, and it's got a decent amount of all-electric range. And it does make me wonder if/when Toyota will bring a prime, plug-in hybrid version of the Sienna, if ever.
I know. I feel like Toyota's really been dragging their feet on plug-in hybrids, and maybe it's just availability and parts sourcing and materials. But yeah, it's we've got the RAV4 Prime, and they're still hard to get a hold of.
Sure.
That would be the perfect formula.
And the new Prius is like selling like hotcakes.
Absolutely, that's right. Yeah, that's a great package too. It's got great power, great driving dynamics.
Looks great
Mm-hmm.
for the first time ever.
Yep. I mean, it's the thing about a plug-in hybrid. You got to plug it in every day because
Sure.
the range is shorter.
Sure.
With something like this, it's just play. You just press play. You don't have to plug. It's not plug and play. It's just play.
Sure. But I mean, a plug-in hybrid, if you don't plug it in, is still just a hybrid.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
you might see a slight.
It can be just play, and then plug when you feel like it.
It would be really nice to never have to put gas, basically, in your minivan.
Yeah.
Even with the range this gets, a plug-in hybrid is a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, 36 miles to the gallon is nice, but if I had another 15, 20 miles of EV range,
That's right.
I'd use almost no gas at all.
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You said you have a plug-in hybrid.
Audi. I have an A3 e-tron.
What's the range on that?
Like 20, 25 miles.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So around town, I use almost all electric, and then when I go out of town, it's still a hybrid. So it's decent.
Yeah, I mean, I think also the big selling point with this over a Pacifica is probably just reliability
Sure.
and the lack of having to take it into the dealer for things.
Sure.
The V6 Pacifica is pretty dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
That Pentastar V6 is just a champ. But the plug-in hybrids, I've heard of some teething issues. That was the first plug-in hybrid product they came out with, and then they came out with the Grand Cherokee 4xe and the Jeep Wrangler. And even those I've heard of some issues.
Yeah,
but
Stellantis quality controls maybe not the greatest.
Yeah, maybe a second gen will be a little bit better.
Yeah, maybe if Chrysler survives.
Yeah. I think if you're already familiar with the Toyota ecosystem, something like this is a very natural progression.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you have a Prius and then you have 3 kids
and you want a bigger Prius,
this is the answer.
Yep.
Or Camry hybrid, or whatever, RAV4.
I would be tempted if I could get my wife to daily drive a minivan. She loves her Highlander, and I would be tempted to get the Woodland. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I love a van. I mean, I'm a van man. I just love them. They're so easy to use. They're great for long trips. You can haul as many people as you need.
It's nice having a truck, but things are out in the open.
Yeah.
You can't quite secure your bed. Stuff gets wet even if you have a cover. In a van, you have the same amount of space if you fold everything down or take seats out.
That Odyssey, I took the seats out the whole time we had it.
Yeah, that's right. It was a two-seater.
It was a two-seater. Two-seater hauling machine.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you don't have to have kids to have a minivan. You have to have a use for it, and they're so dang useful, and they drive better than SUV counterparts because they're lower.
100%.
They're still lightweight. They're still efficient. They're not as big and hefty on the road.
And you're still sitting up pretty high. I mean, that's what people say they want an SUV for most of the time anyway.
That's right.
The H point in a van is high enough that you're not climbing up into it.
Yep.
You basically just sit down and you're in it, which is nice.
I'm not Land Cruiser high right now, but I can see over the roof of this Crosstrek. I feel fine.
Yeah.
And I mean, Toyota's hybridized all-wheel drive system isn't the most amazing in the snow and in slippery conditions, but it really does get the job done, and it's a big improvement over front-wheel drive only. It does give you a good amount of rear axle power, and driving our Highlander around in the snow, there's a trail mode that's kind of fun. It gets you through some tighter, deeper stuff. You can get to your campsite in your Sienna Woodland, or probably even just your standard Sienna with, what does this have, probably 6.5 inches of ground clearance or so. All right, well, those are some thoughts on the Toyota Sienna XSE. We kind of a sedate drive in this, but it drives about how we'd expect it to. No major changes for the 2025 model year in that regard, but if you want to see some more info on this minivan, go check out my studio walk around where I'll take you through a few of the different trims and go into a little bit more in depth on some of the changes. But until we get this back in Michigan, there are some initial impressions on this refresh. I'm going to let Bradley take the wheel, get some impressions for his articles. Go check them out at Jalopnik. You post a lot on Jalopnik these days, right?
I do, yeah. I'm trying to do about 4 or 5 a day.
That's awesome. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, keeping pretty active.
Cool. All right, what can we do? Full power.
Full send.
I mean, it'll get you there.
Yeah.
It'll get
fine.
out its own way.
NVH is something.
I think they could make
It's a
some
little
improvements with NVH.
Yeah,
that's
a little loud.
That's kind of the biggest con that I'm seeing here. A little bit of wind noise, a little bit of engine noise. But, you know,
I would have this over any SUV, honestly. I like it. I like a van better than an SUV to begin with. But the fact that you're getting 36 miles a gallon, it drives like a car.
yeah.
You know, you're not way up in the air.
You spend time in a minivan and you realize that SUVs are just less practical, slightly worse to drive minivans.
100%. And yeah, they don't have sliding doors. They're harder to get kids in and out of. Like, yeah, they're just...
What does the remote look like on this? Yeah, you can remotely open the doors.
Yeah.
You can do that on a Maybach or a BMW 7 Series,
Right.
and you can do it on a minivan. I love that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The epitome of luxury.
That's right. No, you don't realize how great it is until you live with it, and then you kind of can't live without it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do miss having a van. We don't really have a need for it anymore, but and we got the Cayenne because we need to haul. We have a travel trailer
Okay.
that we use quite a bit, and
Yeah, the minivan is just, it's kind of that if you know, you know thing.
For sure.
They're not sexy, they're not cool. I mean, the Cayenne diesel is freaking cool. That's awesome. But
it's also a 11-year-old out of warranty German luxury
That's right.
like thing, and like it's in the shop right now,
yeah.
literally right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got its charms, but it's also something to live with.
All right, guys, that's it for the Sienna. Thanks for watching. No real good places to pull off here, so we're going to make do with this. Bradley, all yours.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Thanks for watching, guys. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. This was fun. I guess you also got to put up with the front end on this. I mean, I think it's grown on me over the years. I've definitely gotten used to seeing it more on the road, but it is there's a lot of design going on with the front bumper of the Sienna. It kind of reminds me of those, you know, those like Japanese vans that have the exhaust pipes that come out in like Pikachu tails.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. It's just bigger.
Decatura, Bosozoku.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah, feel how high that is?
Yeah, it is. It is a higher point for sure. Feels slightly slower than the Highlander.
Does it?
Just a little bit, yeah.
That's a 6?
That's the same powertrain.
Oh, is it the same?
Yeah, same
Okay.
2.5 liter.
Okay.
Yeah. We get about 29 in that
Okay.
in the winter and about 32 in the summer. So it depends on the time of year, the temperature outside. My wife has a lead foot,
Mine too.
so it could be better, but it
Yep.
could be worse.
Yep.
We went from a 4th gen V8 4Runner to the Highlander, and our MPG doubled. So, yeah. It's nice you can put regular fuel, doesn't take premium, you know.
Sure.
I've always thought it'd be cool if Toyota came out with a Lexus version of this. I mean, this is close. It needs to be a little bit quieter, a little bit nicer. Give us a Mark Levinson sound system, some more leather touch points.
Mm-hmm.
A Lexus minivan would be super baller with like recliners in the back and screens. But you know, you get into the platinum trim in this, and it's getting close. It's getting
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, they could sell that as a Lexus.
Yeah. Maybe someday. Who knows? Toyota does like to come out with every version possible of every different vehicle, so I wouldn't be surprised. All right, that's actually the end of the video. We'll wrap things there. See you guys later.